Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Subarnarekha Moitra, and today my topic of presentation is development of microemulsion-based hydrogel film drug delivery system of diacerin to improve drug efficacy and bioavailability. These are the contents. So, microemulsion is basically a transparent colloidal system which consists of two immiscible liquids. And diacerin is a type of drug which is already established for the treatment of rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis. But systematically, when diacerin is given orally, it causes a lot of side effect. And microemulsion itself also has side effects, like it is very low viscous in nature. So to nullify these two effects of the drug and microemulsion formulation, I have designed a study to convert the microemulsion into hydrogel film and encapsulating the diacerin in it. So diacerin can be given topically. So the objectives of my work is to prepare diacerin-based microemulsion and then to incorporate the diacerin-based microemulsion into hydrogel film and to evaluate the microemulsion and the microemulsion-based hydrogel film by entrapment efficacy, particle size, in vitro drug release, FTIR and same. Materials and methods required for this study are castor oil, SPAN 80, PEG 600, diacerin, distilled water, pseudo-ternary phase diagram preparation by water titration method, microemulsion preparation, then sodium alginate used as the polymer, and hydrogel film preparation by solvent casting method. So first I did the pre-formulation studies. For this I checked the compatibility of diacerin with the other constituents, whether it is soluble in the other constituents like the castor oil or not. And then I did the pseudo-ternary phase diagram. The pseudo-ternary phase diagram, I chose 4 types of ratios of the surfactant and co-surfactant, and then 9 batches of the formulations were made by the ratio of castor oil changing it. And then distilled water was added dropwise until turbidity was observed at the end point. So these are the 4 phase diagrams that I obtained, and clearly from the figure 4, that is 4:1 ratio of S-mix, we can see the microemulsion region is more compared to the other 3. So I selected this 4:1 ratio S-mix for further studies. So now considering the 4:1 ratio ternary plot, the castor oil concentration should be from 5 to 10 and S-mix is 50 to 70 and rest is distilled water to make up total of 100%. So first I did the standard graph of diacerin in results. For this, a stock solution of diacerin was made and the absorbance was checked by UV visible spectrophotometer. And this is the graph I obtained from where the R-squared value is linear to 1. So the plot is linear, and also the y equals to mx value we have obtained. This m value will be important for the entrapment efficiency and in vitro drug release study. So this is the table. It has all the constituents in the proper ratios. By trial and error method I did this. The particle size was determined by the zetasizer. Entrapment efficiency was done by mechanical shaker, and percentage in vitro for 8 hours I have checked, and this is the graph that I observed, where we can see that for the microemulsion based formulation, the in vitro drug release for 8 hours is from 65 to 82%, whereas for only plain diacerin it is 31%. So based on these results, we chose formulation F7 for converting it into the hydrogel film. For this, 2% sodium alginate was used, and by 1:1 ratio in solvent casting method, we made the hydrogel film and dried in the hot air oven. And for the hydrogel film, for up till now we have done only the FTIR and same, and in FTIR we have got this plot. First one is for the pure diacerin and second one is for the F7 formulation. So the FTIR spectra suggests that there is no compatibility between diacerin and the other constituents. This is the same study, scanning electron microscopy study. So we can observe bit of pores present in it, and the morphological structures are observed here. And from this study I can say that the diacerin will be released from the formulation. So I hereby conclude that microemulsion's low viscous nature can get terminated by turning it into the hydrogel film. And as for diacerin, since we can apply it topically, so the gastrointestinal side effects of diacerin will also get nullified. But further studies, animal studies are required, and also some a few tests are left, like the DSC, TGA, also tensile strength hardness. These tests are left, and after that I can conclude this formulation. These are the references. Thank you.
Thank you. So, any question from the floor? Any questions? No? So, what would be the next step after you completed the characterization of your formulation? So, what is are you going to do in vitro?
I'm going to check in vivo studies on animals, rat models.
But this is formulation for the topical, isn't it?
Yes, topical.
So, are you going to do any in vitro cell first, the model first, before you proceed with the in vivo?
In vitro, I was planning, but in vitro studies are already done for diacerin. Not for this formulation,
Yes.
but for other diacerin-based formulation is done. But in vivo formulation is very less. So in vivo, I want to focus on in vivo first. Then, if I have time, I will do the in vitro.
I know, usually like in vitro, then we proceed to in vivo.
Yeah,
So
but-
there is some, like at least you can do some pre-test or the in vitro to get some promising evidence to suggest you to proceed further to in vivo. So that would be very good. Alright, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So next, we would like to proceed with Miss Eka Fauzia Laila. Okay, to present on the factors associated with the adherence of pregnant women in taking iron tablets in Lembur Situ Health Center working area, Sukabumi City.
There is one announcement. Tea, coffee is served outside. We are not giving any break. Maybe only 3 paper day. You can go and take if you want. Or you just leave. Good. Take it.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone, and the Honorable Dr. Subendu and Dr. Devi. My name is Eka. I'm from Indonesia, and this time I will present an article with title "Factor Associated with Adherence of Pregnant Women in Taking FA Tablet in Lembur Situ Health Center Working Area, Sukabumi City." Overview, introduction, objective, method, result, discussion, and conclusion. Introduction. According to the World Health Organization in 20, and the prevalence of anemia among pregnant women, the world was 36.5%, in Indonesia, 48.9% of the pregnant women suffer from anemia. The need for iron increased during pregnancy, so the consumption of the blood supplement tablet is very important to prevent iron deficiency anemia. For complaints of pregnancy women in taking blood supplement tablet can increase the risk anemia, potentially leading to miscarriage, fetal death, and premature birth. Factors influence pregnant women adherence to iron tablet include maternal education, parity, self-efficacy, and husband support. More education mother tend to be more complex. First-time mother also pay more attention to their health. The present study hypothesis that self-efficacy influencing the adherence of pregnant women to their birth control, with the belief in their ability to motivated adherence to a halt. Objectives. The purpose of the study was to determine the relation between maternal education, parenting, self-efficacy, and husband support with the contents of the pregnant woman in taking FA tablets. Method. Type of correlation research with a cross-sectional approach, population and sample of 82 people using total sampling, data collection technique using questionnaire, data analysis using univariate analysis with frequency distribution, bivariate analysis with chi-square, and multivariate analysis with logistic regression. From table 1, the results saw the respondent age was to range 20 and 35 years, namely 82.9%. What's the work status? Did you work? 81 to 81.7% was the respondent were the first trimester pregnancy, namely 36.6%. Was the respondent also did not experience anemia, namely 56.1%. Was the respondent income was less than the minimum wage, namely 89%, and health information was mostly obtained with a respondent from health work, namely 75.6%. From table 2, the result analysis showed the most education was high school college, namely 56.8%, was the mother maternity was primipara 61%, was the mother self-education was the namely 56.1%, was the husband support was less support, namely 54.9%, and complete with taking FA tablet was mostly complete, namely 63.4%. From table 3, mother education of the 49 mother was education was senior high school to PT. It was found the most respondent complained with taking FA tablet, namely 85.7%, and the 33 respondent was education was junior high school or SD. SMP was the respondent did complain with taking tablet FA, namely 69.7%, and the chi-square result obtained p-value 0.000 means that 3 is the relation between maternal education and adherence to taking tablet. OR ratio result obtained 30.8, means that the mother who have a high school education 30.8 time have opportunity adherent to taking tablet compared mother whose education in elementary high school. From table 4, and of the 50 primiparous mother was the respondent with complaint with FA tablets, namely 86%, and 32 multiparous mother. And the chi-square, the result of the p-value 0.000, and ratio result obtained of the 15.7 means the primiparous mother are the 15.7 times more likely be counted than taking FA tablet multipara other. Table 5, self-efficacy among 46 mother who have high self-efficacy, most of them counted the taking tablet. The discussion? Okay. The discussion. Pregnant woman adherence iron tablets dependent on the correct dose method and frequency of use. Maternal education plays important role in determining these complaints as complaint influence the behavior taking blood supplement. Next, the parity strong associated with iron tablet adherence primiparous mother are modification to stay healthy during pregnancy and follow the recommendations with multiparous mother. Often the feel broken taking iron tablet. Self-efficacy also effective adherence. One factor associated with iron tablet adherence is husband support. The study showed that maternal education, parity, self-efficacy, and husband support were associated with adherence in pregnant women. Husband support was the dominant factor. The role the husband is supporting is use iron tablet by pregnant woman is to supervise to use the medicine. The husband support makes the pregnant woman the compatible, makes the and care for so as want to take iron regularity. And the last conclusion. There is relationship between maternal education, parity, self-efficacy, and husband support with the complaints of pregnant woman in taking FA tablet. There is simulation relationship between maternal education, parity, self-efficacy, and husband support with the complaints of the pregnant woman in taking FA tablet. Most dominant variable associated with adherence of pregnant woman in taking FA tablets is husband support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So any question from the floor? No questions? So, okay. So can we proceed with the next contestant? Next presenter. Thank you. So, Ms. Christiana to present on the digital health strategies on the self-care management among chronic kidney disease patient, a systemic review.
Hi, hello everyone. Okay, good afternoon. My name is Christina and I'm the PhD student now at Lincoln University College. So, today I will share you the results about my research on digital health strategies on self-care management. So I will share my knowledge gained from this systematic review. I will covering some key information you need to know, including the interesting finding. Okay. Now, okay. So The just feel that. The objective is understanding the role of digital health in empowering CKD patients. So I would like how to find the essential thing to optimize the patient's outcomes, like that. As you know that CKD is projected to become the fifth leading cause of mortality globally in 2040, according to Lancet forecasting life expectancy. So I'd like to dive deep into it. I mean, the role of digital health and how to optimize it for better outcomes. It correlates with my previous research about self-care management, and I put some social cognitive theory into it. But now I would like to try a new method like digital health strategies, since it's already the digital era for 5.0, right? So I would like to have a better foundation. This is actually my preliminary research, okay, to conduct my main research later on. So the research gap, or should I say the gap, because there's a short-term outcomes and long-term outcomes. I really want to fill in the gaps itself. From the finding, it's find the shortest time duration is 8 weeks, and the longest time is 1 year. And also, there's a high-income countries and low-income countries itself, and also a diverse cultural setting. Yeah, later on. Okay, next. So this is my Prisma, my preferred reporting item for systematic review, and my meta-analysis. No, not meta-analysis, just for systematic review. As the identification, I found it from 5 database for 1,484 from RCTs itself, randomized controlled trial, and then after the screening, I found it 534, and then after check the eligibility and so on, it will become a smaller size, 120, and then the included one, there will be 10 articles. Yeah, after all of the screening, and then I use the Joanna Bridge Institute for the critical appraisal tools, like that. And the finding is really exciting me as well, because the finding is not. Yes, the finding is met my curiosity. Okay, it's answered my question. Then we found that the digital healthcare system improving both physical and psychological performance. So improving both psychological and physical performance in patient itself. It really excites me. I really need this because I have to have a strong foundation based on evidence to make my own digital health later on. So there's a lot of proof for the physical activities itself, just like physical improvement. Just like physical activities, reduce fatigue, and then normal laboratory value, and then also for the psychological performance, it's self-care behavior increasingly nicely, and so on. And then, but I also find the fact that I also find the fact that this digital health intervention, all of the research that I get, the digital health intervention were supplemented with manual activities. They're not standing alone for this digital technology, but they still need the manual activities. They need the physical approach, person to person, one by one. I've seen that in all of the 10 articles. Actually, also in other articles. Yeah. So maybe later on for my digital health, I will improving for the physical, psychological, but also I will supplement it with manual activities as well, like face-to-face sessions, physical examination, monitoring daily. We should go interpersonal, go to the patients like that. And then this is the finding summary that the impact of using digital health includes improvement in quality of life, yes, and then self-care management behaviors, psychological functioning, and effective patient monitoring. Digital health interventions were supplemented with manual activities. It's a kind of new findings for me to pursue to my next research, such as telephone calls, text messages, video calls, and regular home visit. So for the outcome, there is the integrating dynamic content, real-time personalization if we use the digital health, yeah, for the monitoring, and so we can check the patient's daily low cost and so on. Real-time personalization, customized based on person to person, and then user-friendly interfaces and combining digital health tools with proactive emotional support. Because for the healthy one, you have to have the physical and psychological maintained health. And for the limitation, yes, the economic barrier. I came from Indonesia, in my place, in rural place, in East Borneo, Kalimantan. There's a village in the rural area, like that. So, economic barriers like affordability of devices and services combined with inadequate educational resources and sometimes insufficient infrastructure. It's unreachable areas, some in my place like that. And the inadequate educational resources. For the educational challenges include the lack of digital literacy program and then reliance on Wi-Fi for internet access. Yeah. And then, yeah, that's all. Wait. So the future scope of the study, so it will be an elderly friendly mobile interface, yeah, based on the articles I've looking into, and then the developing adaptive tools tailored to individual patient needs and preferences. And for the full references, you can find it in my full text later on. So, thank you so much. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, any questions from the floor? Any questions? No? All right. Thank you, Ms. Christina.
Hello.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Hello.
Oh, there's a question.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Padma.
Yes.
I would like to ask you about this CKD with using digital health. Yeah.
Yes.
Because we.
Can you put the mic on,
Yeah,
please?
Yes. Hold on. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. It's a very interesting topic for digital health. I'm actually a renal tutor, teaching post-basic renal. So it's related to the topic that I've been teaching all this while. So it's a very interesting topic, but I would like to, you say CKD. I was wondering this digital health with the devices.
Yes.
I understand definitely you have to be using devices like mobile phones to track their health issues.
Yes.
So at what stage of CKD do you think is applicable for renal patients?
In what stage CKD acceptable for these digital health tools?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other question?
Yeah. Another thing is that, for example, you were saying about digital literacy. Then
Yes.
again, another thing, if you have patients who are staying somewhere very in the remote areas where they don't even have nephrologists assess review, and then they have to come all the way, and with all this tracking and with a minimal of knowledge of this digital, how are you going to monitor them? Are you going to use family involvement in their tracking, or is there any other way that you can give, or you still have to go through the manual way of monitoring them? Okay, that's about all.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fatma. Fatma, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, thank you for your question.
Okay, thank you.
I try my best to answer it. As you mentioned before, on what stage? I studied in every stage. Stage 1 until the end stage of renal disease. Okay, why? So we will have to categorize it. If the patient, the CKD patient in stage 1, 2 to 3 without hemodialysis, we can take we can take this digital health as a prevention model. Yes, as a prevention model. So we have to prevent them for their progression of staging, right? We have to prevent it. Actually, I've done before for the stage 1, 2, 3, but not with the digital health, but prevent it. But I'm thinking so far, what if I reach more audience but with digital health? So before I just use manually, so like that. So we can use it instead of pre-CKDs or person with high risk with CKD, we can use it also. So we only have to customize the menu of digital health, which is for the preventing problem, or for the monitoring, or for the curability, and so on, for rehabilitation, and we can divide it. And I'm still working on it. I mean, I really want this digital health really approach the audience, the patients itself, like that. So we can use it in all kind of stage, but in the different purpose. 1, 2, 3 as a preventing, but if the patient already have the hemodialysis care, and then it's a different kind of matter. You can just take this like a monitoring and prevent for the gain weight, and for the for the balancing nutrition and the electrolytes and so on. So they can improve their quality of life time to time. For life expectancy, it's supposed to be life expectancy. It's 3 to 5 years. It can extend the life expectancy for the patient. That's the question number 1. Okay, the answer. And for the question number 2, for the digital literacy, yeah. So how to? That is why I conduct this research, this systematic research. So to answer for the person with the digital, still lack of digital literacy, so we can use it combined. We can use it combined. As I mentioned earlier, that's a physical approach, and also that's a digital approach. So for the person, for those with the lack of literacy, digital literacy, we have to we have to prepare well for them. And as you mentioned, that's correct, with the families itself. Because sometimes the patient with CKDs, they cannot wear for themselves. And also for that, there's some tools like we said, patient activation. Yeah, there's a questionnaire, or there's a tools, we mentioned it like patient activation. So before we conduct this digital health, we have to make sure the patient active. So there's a patient activation for them, like that. So, but yeah, that is why I found the answer that we cannot do this alone. We have to guide the patient directly, especially patient elderly with CKD. Oh, it's more complicated. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Ms. Fatma. Okay.
Best wishes.
Yeah.
Alright. Next.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, we would like to welcome Ms. Pepli Nahariani. Pepli Nahariani. Alright. To present on the Paradigm Complementary Nursing Therapy services in the community a strong degree. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good afternoon, all of you, everyone. My name is Pepina Haryani. I am from PhD student in Lincoln University of College. I come from Indonesia. My title is Paradigm Complementary Nursing Theory, Therapy, Service in the Community. Okay, for the background of our study, the increase of chronic disease in the world is increased. It is impact to patient, especially in physical and psychological burden. It is and it support medical care. So complementary therapy can contribute to accelerating patient recovery. So the chronic disease is impact the psychic and psychological well-being for patient, especially for patient care disease. And then complementary therapy can support well-being and reduce side effect for medical therapy, but it is cannot replace conventional therapy or medical therapy. So complementary therapy can help reduce pain, improve function, and can decrease about side effect in medical therapy. So the method of my study is scoping review by narrative synthesis. It is the aim of my study is combine and summarize finding of various related relevant study, systematic and in-depth of article. In this approach, I identify about choosing complementary therapy for disease. I take article database come from Scopus publication. The year limit between 2020 until 2024. It is critical analysis to explore various dimensions of social, cultural, economic, and psychological factor choosing of complementary therapy. This is study provide insight to motivation, preference, and consideration underly people decision to choosing complementary therapy. It is not only conventional medical aspect, but also more holistic alternative factor. Cancer or palliative care. This is can physical and psychological condition and symptom of effect of medical treatment. It is can disappear. So this is complementary therapy can minimize pain, improvement function and muscular system, and elevate clinical symptom experienced by patient. So the conclusion,
Conventionalizing therapy is increasing integrated with complementary treatment to improving quality of life, especially for cancer patients. Although holistic benefits include physical, psychology, social, culture aspect, dispute challenges faced include integration, training, security, accessibility, social culture, acceptance, and for this study, we hope can increase the emphasis of cultural competence policy and education to facilitate acceptance complementary therapy. Okay, thank you about my article. Maybe I need question.
Alright, thank you. So any questions from the floor? Yes, sir, please. So please. No, it's a systematic review that she presented actually.
But no data, nothing of it.
Exactly. So
Scopus must have provided data, that is not it.
So yes. So your methodology, yes, you have explained, but your results. So
Scoping review. Is that
Definitely Scopus literally has told, but Scopus did not
at
provide.
least like a summary of your finding, like in a table, isn't it? So maybe that would be better.
Yes, I just analyze and summarize about article, and I describe by narrative synthesis. I didn't use Prisma or Picot like that.
At least your
Just describe.
At least your results, your key findings can be summarized based on the articles that you have used for this scoping review.
Yes.
But it's missing, so we can't get the overall key findings here. So even as your any type of review, the part where you are describing the result, the findings out of your literature findings, is important, isn't it? So it has to be presented. Without that, the
Maybe
flow is
describe
missing.
about result.
Yes, missing. Can you go to your result if you
Yes.
okay, this is method, yes? Result. Okay.
Yes. The finding, there are 5. Sorry, I can explain in this PPT. The 5 is, the first is paradigm shift, convenience medicine to holistic approach. The fact is community interest to try complementary nursing, and community interest to back nature. Yes, like that. This is the first. And then number 2 is complementary paradigm can be affordable and accessibility to apply it in the community. The third is complementary therapy can be applied in the community. There are some data for Scopus that community use, especially in the district or rural area, use complementary therapy. In the especially in the palliative care and chronic disease. And the fourth is integration complementary therapy in global health system. And then the last finding is social and cultural factor. It is can contribute influence to complementary therapy.
Yeah, all these 5 factors maybe you could have presented so that you can give us a clear view of your overall findings. Yeah, that was major part which you missed presented today. Alright, thank you very
Thank you.
much. So next, we would like to welcome Junjira Pasu. Mr. Junjira Pasu to present on the factors associated with newly diagnosis with ischemic stroke among people in Thailand as community-based case control study.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Today my name is Nikon Puswan, and then this research is related to my master degree student. So I would like to present a little bit about the factor associated with the newly diagnosis with ischemic stroke among people in Thailand. I also affiliated at the Faculty of Public Health Kasetsat University Thailand, and also the being associated researcher at Uppsala University, Sweden also. So today I will talk about the factor associated with the newly diagnosis with stroke, and then introduction for the research methodology, for the result and the conclusion. Accordingly, for the introduction, we would like to impress that from the 1990 to 2016, we found that the stroke cases increased sharply all over the world, and we found that more than 5 million cause. There are 5 billion cause of global death accounting for the stroke cases. And then the stroke cases accounts for the second cause of global death according to the disability and adjusted life year in total. And then we also found that more than 16 million healthy year of life loss due to stroke for each year. Therefore, we think that in the next few decades, the stroke burden will be expected to increase. So in Asia, the incidence of stroke vary between the 100 to 480 per 100,000 per year, and then we found that also the prevalence, it seems that to be increased. For in Thailand, we found that the stroke patient is about more than 150 per 100,000 population per year, and in Sonophan province, which is in the northeast province in Thailand, close to the Mekong River and close to the Laos we found that the incidence is also increased from the year 2019 to 2023. So that's why in general we found that there are some risk factors for stroke, such as the obesity, diabetes, sleep apnea, smoking, alcohol, and cardiovascular disease. But in fact, the stroke can contribute to the consequences such as the physical impact and also the cognitive impact. And then for those people having stroke or newly diagnosed with stroke, they will have more than 2 or 3 years to recover from by themselves. So this is the huge impact about the physical impact and cognitive impact. Therefore, this study is aimed to investigate the factors associated with the newly ischemic stroke among people in Thailand, because we focus on the ischemic stroke. We found that about 80% of stroke come from ischemic stroke, and then for the rest of 20% come from hemorrhagic stroke. And the setting is in Sonophan province, in the northeast province in Thailand. We used the case control study within which was the ratio is 1:1, and then we collected the sample for 150 cases who were newly diagnosed with stroke, and then we collected 183 as control who have not been diagnosed with with stroke people. The inclusion criteria is about the Thai ethnicity, able to communicate in Thai, and age more than 18 years old, and the primary is that